Good morning and happy Monday. With the New Republic era ending in 2 weeks, CG has finally decided to fix the era rollover into GAC issue that has plagued the community for the last 6 months. For those of you not in the know, era rollover takes place 3 hours before GAC lock, putting players into the position of racing against the clock and preparing up to 7 new units for a week of battles, which maybe wouldn't be such a terrible thing if not for the fact that SWGOH is a game that's played globally and, you know, time zones exist. And while I'm sure many of you are sick of me discussing the solution they've decided to implement, given that I haven't shut up about it over the last 4 days, we've accidentally stumbled upon new information, if only because time is a better communicator than capital games themselves. So, with that said, let's get to it. Now, if you are somebody that follows information on Discord and on Reddit and on the official forums, you probably are already aware that CG is changing the GAC schedule. The typical GAC schedule is that Monday starts the event, Tuesday is the lock in, Wednesday into Thursday is Battle 1, Friday into Saturday is Battle 2, and Sunday into Monday is Battle 3. Now, this is all based on the EST time zone, and it may be slightly different for you. However, as of this last week, CG has released in their update notes for July 8th that this would be changing going forward. And of course, there has been no information displayed about it in game. But there is or was a lot of confusion about what was actually happening. So let me kind of take you back to when this first popped up in the game. After the update on July 8th, we saw this update note. GAC is getting moved back 1 day for the era rollover. And that seems perfectly fine, except it was updated not very long afterwards to instead say that GAC is getting moved forward 1 day for the era rollover. Now, if you're used to talking about time, typically when talking about scheduling, moving something back means that it's going to be further out in the future, and moving something forward means that it's going to actually be happening earlier. And I reached out to Meathead, and I know several other people reached out to Meathead to say, hey man, is lock happening on Monday night, or is lock happening on Wednesday night? What is up? And of course, the only answer we received was, I don't understand how you don't get what we're trying to say. Forward is forward. Now, I did stress to him, listen, just like bi-weekly, which could mean twice a week or once every other week, the idea of moving forward in terms of time could mean either thing, and we received zero clarity on the issue. Frustrating, I know. However, because it is Monday, we can rightfully assume that it is very likely that GAC lock will now be a Wednesday night lock, which again doesn't really particularly make sense. If you have an appointment and it is moved forward, it means it's happening earlier than it was before, whereas lock is now seemingly happening 24 hours later. And we can go into the arena. Again, this is Monday morning. At this point, if lock was happening earlier, we should have an event active, but the event for GAC is not yet happening, which means that tonight we should not see a lock happening. Tuesday night, we will see the event come into game, and Wednesday, we will see our lock. And if you are a player who doesn't typically troll the forums or Discord, and you don't typically spend too much time watching videos, one, why are you watching this one right now? And two, I wouldn't blame you if you didn't understand or know this information, because it was absent from the game. And this is endemic of CG's problem with communicating with its player base in a clear and concise manner. It would be one thing if CG had sent us a newsletter in the game, in the inbox, letting people know, hey guys, by the way, this thing is happening. But of course, if you look through even the newsletter in game about Snowtrooper Commander has nothing about this GAC change. And I can only imagine that there are going to be a lot of players on Reddit tonight saying, hey, wait a second, did I miss my lock? Now, we already know that I really disagree with this change, but I do want to backtrack and officially say that I do benefit from this change to GAC lock. As you know, I do a stream every Sunday morning, Sundays brunch with Egnards. And during brunch with Egnards, we do territory battles, we do raids, we do conquest, we do a lot of talking. But the reality is, the majority of players who want to see Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes content want to see GAC being done. And that is something that I've never been able to do before because of my weekly schedule. And I am super excited to be able to bring that to my Sunday morning streams without changing my particular schedule, but I still do not think that this was the best way for CG to solve this problem. I still think that it is a huge mistake for CG to be completely shifting the schedule of GAC, something that has stayed relatively static. And I say relatively static for a couple of reasons, but relatively static over the course of GAC ever being in the game. I do believe that this is going to present more problems than it actually solves. Let's take a look here. Last week, I did put up a Google form for players to ask them how they felt about this change. I put it on Discord. I asked other content creators to share it around. I did put it on Reddit. I wanted to get as many players as possible giving me their perspective on the change. Now, unfortunately, we got just under 500 responses. I was hoping for several thousand. Those polls are still up, and I will leave them up for players to be able to communicate and let me know and CG know how they're feeling about this change. And this is really what it looks like so far, right? This is our GAC lock being changed to Wednesday night, with GAC round 1 Thursday into Friday, GAC round 2 Saturday into Sunday, and GAC round 3 Monday into Tuesday. Based on 498 responses within the community, it seems that about 47% of the community is pretty apathetic to the change. It doesn't matter to them. They're either going to play GAC or not play GAC, and the schedule of GAC is not important. You will see here that it looks like just under 40% of players who have responded to this poll are not happy with the change, with about 15% of them believing that this will negatively impact their ability to play GAC effectively because of scheduling. And if we look at it, we see, I can't even tell with this blue one, but let's say 47, and this is just under 40. So roughly 10 to 13% of players who are saying, hey, they're happy with the change. It's either not going to affect their participation, or that little red dot that's under 7% saying, hey, yes, this will positively affect my participation. This is one thing that I do 100% see as a problem within this game right now. Effectively, CG has put us on a timer and they have put us on a schedule. And now they are saying, hey guys, we are completely shifting you guys away from that schedule and you are just going to have to deal with it. The reality is that a lot of us do build. I know that this sounds ridiculous. We do build the things that we do in life around the other things that we enjoy doing. And I do know that at least within the content creator spheres, a lot of those creators have set schedules so that they can enjoy family time so that they can have commitments with friends. And now all of that gets thrown askew. And I am not saying that content creators are the only ones that matter here, but clearly, from our little sample poll of roughly 500 players, we are seeing a similar outlook between the players. Right. While 47% of players don't really care about the change, close to 40% of players are also really frustrated. I don't want to use the word really. I'll get reamed for the word really. Um, 40% of players are not happy with the change as it currently stands. Now, the problem here is that the GAC lock issue still remains with the era if this change doesn't happen. So there are a couple of other options that CG does have in order to fix this issue without throwing everything askew. Option one, we go into game, uh, just end the era 1 day early. And if we think about that, the last day of an era is an era challenge day, right? We have an era challenge open right now. These things are really easy to do. You do them on the first day, it will still give players 6 days to complete that. And while I can't necessarily and accurately say, hey, not a lot of era revenue happens on the last day of an era, we can say that we have tracked Maul and we have tracked Cassian, and it does look like a very large majority of 7-star, 4-star, 5-star, 6-star unlocks happen in the first 3 to 4 days of them being available, meaning that it is highly unlikely that that last day of an era is fundamentally important from a revenue standpoint. Allowing players to unlock their characters 1 day early on Monday would change, it would fix the stated goal of this GAC change by giving players the 24 hours that they need in order to unlock their characters, mod their characters, and prepare them for GAC in the same way that is happening now. Option number two is if we were to push back the next era by 1 week, and I want to stress that it would only be one era that would need to be pushed back. A single era would need to be delayed by 7 days. If CG did this one time, it would mean that eras always end on GAC off week, which would actually give players a week to be able to mod their characters, which would really be ideal. And I know everybody wants to start in on the next era. Everybody is really excited for the next era. Everybody is ready for New Republic to be over. And Meathead has done a great job on Discord of getting people pumped for something. This one time um, delay would fix everything without also having to change everything, right? Two very simple options that CG has that make a lot more sense than completely shifting the GAC schedule going forward and causing as much chaos as they are going to cause when people are just straight up confused. The other big issue here with this new GAC change is Hell Week. Now, as a player who is in the end game, those first couple days of Hell Week are not that big of a deal for me because TB day 1 and day 2 are roughly and relatively irrelevant, but I know that I do not represent the majority of the players playing the game. With this GAC change happening, and just to again show you on the screen, we're sliding through them. With this GAC change happening and there being a third round Monday into Tuesday night, that means that during Hell Week, players are going to have to do their conquest, players are going to have to do their territory battles, and players are now going to have to do their GAC. Whereas previously they could get it done on the night before on Sunday and have a completely clean slate during Hell Week. Now they are going to have a Monday into Tuesday night battle on top of having to do their TB, on top of having to do their conquest, and possibly on top of having to do their raid. And again, the upper echelon of players are very unlikely to be doing anything with those days in TB. But the realistic expectation here is that there are players all across the game, and many players are having to maximize their day one and day two combats, who are now going to have to do more and more. And we can say, hey, man, those players, they only have to do 2 or 3 battles in GAC. But we have seen players who are in Kyber who have to maximize battles, who are at the 8 million or 9 million GP mark, which means that they are probably in guilds where they do have to do a lot of battles in TB, and where they are also going to have to do a lot of battles in GAC. So, all of that is to say here a couple of things. Number one, CG, this fix is a terrible idea. Yes, this issue does need to be fixed, but no, this is not the way to go about it. You have to keep us on a schedule so that we know what to expect and what is coming, and changing that is something that is problematic. But number two, it is a huge communication issue from CG, where we know that only the absolute most engaged with outside of game resources players are ones that know about this right now. These are the types of changes that should have splash screens in the game bouncing up and saying, hey, by the way, this thing is happening. And there are a couple of reasons for that. Number one, players should just be able to know these things, right? They shouldn't have to rely on Reddit or Discord or on videos or on the forums. But number two, those players going into Conquest and building up datacrons, preparing for a Tuesday night GAC lock, having one extra day here between all of that allows them to more naturally build those resources. And many of those players are very likely to spend extra resources to get the datacrons they need, not realizing that they are more naturally able to do those things without having to spend those same resources. And that can be really frustrating. Once again, I do want to hear your comments. I do want to know what you are thinking about this issue. I do want to know if you feel that I am wrong about this. And I am going to leave the Google form in the notes for this video so that we can hopefully get more responses, whether or not you agree with me, because I do believe that this is something that not enough people are talking about, and something that is important within the community right now. But with all of that said, peace out and have a great rest of your day.